Ladies and gentlemen, this is your captain speaking, and welcome back to another Pokemon review. Before we begin, make sure to do all that YouTube stuff like liking, subscribing, and ringing. With that boring stuff out of the way, let's give it everything we've got. This is my review of Pokemon HeartGold and SoulSilver. These games had a tough act to follow, given that the 2000 original Gold and Silver were the highest-selling Game Boy Color games, and a lot of people held them in a really high regard, along with the definitive version Pokemon Crystal, released a year later in 2001. Released in 2010 by Game Freak and Nintendo, Game Freak strived to create an experience that would honor the memories people made in the originals, while also putting a new spin on things to keep it fresh and inviting for newer players. While they kept the classic Pokemon turn-based move-using combat system and story pretty much the same, they also updated it with features that had been added since the originals were released. Things like natures, moving sprites, color, whoops, and most importantly, the physical special split. Tangent time, so if you already know about the physical special split and the basics of Pokemon moves, skip to this timecode. Alright, here we go. Offensive Pokemon moves are split into three categories: physical, special, and status. Before Generation 4, when the remakes came out, a move's category was determined by its type. All normal, fighting, flying, poison, ground, rock, bug, ghost, and steel type moves were physical, while all fire, water, grass, electric, psychic, ice, dragon, and dark type moves were special. Furthermore, if a Pokemon uses a move the same type as itself, for example, Pikachu using an electric type attack, the attack does extra damage called same type attack bonus, stab for short. So in Generations 1 through 3, it wouldn't be uncommon to come across a Pokemon whose stats betrayed its type, like a dark type with a high physical attack stat. They'd get the stab bonus, but their moves would still be considerably weak. That all changed with the physical special split in Generation 4. As a result of that, the type of the move had no effect on whether it was physical or special. It was judged on a move-by-move basis. So moves involving a punch or kick would be physical, and moves involving beams or blasts would be special. This changed up the entire battle system and salvaged many Pokemon who were practically unusable beforehand. While this was first introduced in Pokemon Diamond and Pearl, I figured it was best to get that out of the way here, since this is the first instance that it's come up on the channel. With that tangent out of the way, we can get around to the next big feature these games had: the follow mechanic. Whichever Pokemon was in your first party slot would follow you around and react to the environment you were in. While not as involved as it would be in Pokemon Let's Go, it was still fun to have your companions beside you on your journey. Also, much like Let's Go, these games had a gimmicky Pokeball-shaped add-on, this time called the Pokewalker, and somehow it's better than the Pokeball Plus? The Pokewalker allowed you to transfer one of your Pokemon from the game into the machine, very similar to the Pokeball Plus. But this time you can actually f***ing see it! And that's not all you could do. You could walk around with your Pokemon and have it gain experience, you could find items, and biggest of all, you could battle and catch wild Pokemon that could then be transferred into the games. The Pokewalker Pokewalked so Pokemon Go could run.
I'm just chilling in Cedar Rapids.
These Pokemon would be assigned random natures upon being transferred, and you can even encounter Pokemon through the Pokewalker way before you'd be able to find them in the actual game. With all the new developments out of the way, let's get into the story and gameplay. Oh, and for the sake of transparency, I played the SoulSilver version. Before the story really begins, you are asked one question that will come to define who you are as a person. And no, it's not are you a boy or are you a girl, because apparently every Pokemon professor in this series is blind as to what you are, despite the fact that you're standing right in front of them. The question is, which starter will you pick? Picking a starter Pokemon is an integral part of almost every Pokemon game. The only reason I didn't mention it last episode is because you weren't given a choice. You ended up with either Pikachu or Eevee. But in every other game I'll be talking about, you get to choose between a fire type, a water type, and a grass type. This time, the trio is Cyndaquil, Totodile, and Chikorita. Who did I pick? Well, stay tuned to find out. Stop me if you've heard this before, but there's not much to the story aside from collecting all 8 gym badges, becoming champion, and defeating Team Rocket. However, there are a few new wrinkles this time. First, we move from Kanto over to the neighboring Johto Region. Second, this takes place 3 years after the events of the first Pokemon games, and Team Rocket has reformed with a new goal, with you and your rival Silver caught in the middle of it. And if Team Rocket's reformed, there's only one man who can be behind it all.
My name is Giovanni Giorgio, but everybody calls me Giorgio.
Yup, Our good friend Giovanni's back, ready to be thwarted by a child once more! As you journey through the Johto region whooping many a butt, you will eventually be tested to see if you are worthy of possessing the power of either the legendary guardian of the sky Ho-Oh, don't laugh, or the legendary guardian of the sea Lugia, depending on which version you chose. You can also catch the 3 legendary dogs, Entei, Raikou, and Suicune, the 3 legendary birds, Articuno, Zapdos, and Moltres, Mewtwo, and 3 special boys we'll talk about at a later date.
Snow White and the
3 special
boys!
And this time, your story doesn't end when you become champion. Instead, you must journey once more through the Johto region, defeating all of their gym leaders before facing one of the toughest challenges in the series. Well, not much of a real story, it's still an improvement over Let's Go, and I enjoyed it for what it was. Plus, I almost always like the gym leaders in these games. So, just who are these gym leaders? I'm glad I asked. Let's run them down. The elegant master of flying Pokemon and literally impossibly weak, Faulkner. The walking bug Pokemon encyclopedia because his fate was sealed by his parents, Bugsy. The incredibly pretty girl and kinky dom whose bull will plow you, Whitney. The mystic seer of the future whose grandfather is not named Rick, I swear, Morty. His roaring fists do the talking, so maybe it's a good thing he's an absentee husband, Chuck. The steel-clad defense girl who based her entire battle strategy off one Smosh video, Jasmine. The teacher of winter's harshness and literally old man winter, Price. The blessed user of dragon Pokemon who gives new meaning to the term Dragon Rage, Claire. We're not done yet, we've still got the Elite Four and the champion. The psychic phantom thief wannabe, Will. The poisonous ninja master and former Kanto gym leader, Koga. The ever-sitting champion of fighting-type Pokemon, and it's my headcanon he was named after San Martino, Bruno. The wild user of dark types and proof that to every rule there is an exception, Karen. Finally, the dragon-raising champion, Lance. Wait a minute, I said you have to fight the Kanto gym leaders too. Okay, speed round. The Lightning Lieutenant, who probably named his junk Thunder and Lightning, Lieutenant Surge. The Master of Psychic Pokemon, who may just be a teenage witch, Sabrina. The narcoleptic nature-loving princess, Erica. The poisonous ninja daughter, Janine. The tomboyish mermaid who killed many a childhood dream by being seen on her date with her boyfriend, Misty. The rock-solid Pokemon trainer who can somehow see, Brock. The hot-headed quizmaster who looks like my old math teacher, Blaine. And 2 very special color-coded trainers you'll have to just meet for yourself. Okay, now those introductions are out of the way, we can talk about the actual gameplay now. While not the worst example of this, Generation 4 is notorious for their reliance on way too many HM moves that constantly disrupt adventure progression and more often than not require you to occupy a slot on your team with a Pokemon specifically used for HMs because they're incredibly weak and useless. Aside from that, the game plays very well and is classic Pokemon action. It's also not quite as slow as a certain game, but nowhere near as fast and action-packed as another game we'll get to eventually. The Johto and Kanto regions are fun to explore, especially with your Pokemon companions by your side, and there's plenty of colorful characters to keep things interesting. Speaking of Pokemon companions, what team did I assemble to fight through 2 different gym leagues? When it comes to assembling a team, I have only one rule. In every Pokemon game, I am only allowed to use a Pokemon as an official team member once, with starters being the only exception.
I am an asshole, I am an asshole, I am such an asshole!
So you'll never see a repeat in any of these teams as the series goes on. This time around, I used Typhlosion, Quagsire, Blossom, Umbreon, Magneton, and Dragonite. Now I know some of you might be thinking, but HandsomeSassage, you said you won't be repeating Pokemon, but both teams had an Eevee. While that is true, I'm not crazy enough to cut myself off from using any evolution after only using one. However, I will never use the same evolution twice. The thing I appreciated the most about this game was the challenge. There are some genuinely tough gym battles in here. Whitney and Claire spring to mind immediately. And while Whitney's Miltank should be tried for war crimes and Claire should be banned from using Dragon Rage, those fights genuinely made me have to pause for a second and plan things out. That's rare in Pokemon, especially today. Like I said in the first review, I'm not a Pokemon master, so I probably could have assembled a better team, but I don't see much fun in creating a team solely built out of S-tier murder machines that every Pokemon player and their mother uses. Yeah, this coming from the guy that used Dragon on his team. I like to strike a balance between good Pokemon, Pokemon I like, and Pokemon I rarely see used in anything. This is a long frickin' game, thanks mostly to the Kanto expansion pass you unlock after beating the main story. Man, remember when Game Freak included large new areas you could explore before beating the story for free in the base game? Anyway, this is a long game, so it's definitely not my Pokemon game of choice to replay anytime soon. Also, I don't know if this is just me, but I don't find any of the legendaries in HeartGold or SoulSilver to be interesting. Like, the legendary dog trio are just kinda there, and are shameless copies of the legendary birds, and Ho-Oh and Lugia don't really contribute to the plot at all. You just hear about them a lot, and then all of a sudden you're set on a quest to go and catch them, apropos of nothing. From Generation 3 onward, Game Freak would get a lot better at incorporating the legendaries into the plots of the main games, and it's a shame they couldn't alter the story a bit to do that here. Overall, Pokemon HeartGold and SoulSilver is a strong Pokemon experience, predictably filled with a lot of heart and soul. While it can feel a bit stale and formulaic at times, it's still a solid entry into the franchise and a good way to introduce new fans to one of the OG games without making their eyes bleed by forcing them to stare at this. Yeah, I'd give it a 6 out of 10. If you enjoyed, make sure to subscribe, like the video, hit the notification bell, and everything else all the other YouTubers tell you to do all the time. This is your captain speaking, and next time we step into the war between nerds and jocks, I hope to see you there.